Am I the asshole for leaving my wife and kids? I'm sure the title will lead most to say yes, but I feel right in my reasons to leave. This happened years ago. I married the wrong woman. My ex is internally a very angry person and wanted to be very controlling, usually in varying dramatic ways, and eventually years of this caused our divorce. Together we had 3 boys, 3 and 4 years apart. My eldest was 9 when the divorce happened. My ex took them to her parents' house, a 20-minute drive from our house that I had built myself 10 years prior. She burned my house down not long after while I was at work. No one was hurt, and I have no real proof it was her. Nothing really came of it. The fire was suspicious, but it was in the days before doorbell cameras. I think she just lit a massive fire in the fireplace. So I left. I had a job that was very specialized, high in demand generally everywhere, and back then you could get a job with a smile and a handshake. First I went to a major city in Canada that starts with T, saved cash for about a year, and then moved to a small town about 2,500 kilometers from home. In this small town I kept the same job, ended up meeting another woman, and we had 1 child together. She and I are still married. My kids from my previous marriage would come to stay with us for summers during school break. I thought they enjoyed the summers. They built go-karts and raced them one year. We were always camping, etc. My eldest dropped out of high school at home, and my younger 2 from the previous marriage eventually moved in with us for their last years of high school. They grew up. They've had children. I have 10 grandchildren, and they're starting to grow up too. I'm dying. Good days and bad, but the good are quickly getting rarer. My kids are talking to each other about it, and individually to me. My youngest son, from my current marriage, called my second youngest for support after having dealt with me on a particularly bad day. My youngest thinks his older brothers hold a great deal of resent towards him for being my replacement family, and me for leaving them with a mother that didn't spend child support on things like electricity or running water. I haven't spoken to my oldest children about my conversation with my youngest yet. I'm not sure if I should bring it up or let them if they want to. I felt justified with my decision, but I am no longer sure I'm at peace with it. Am I the asshole? Update. The following is for those of you who asked for a backstory. When the divorce happened, my oldest was 9. That means the other 2 were 5 and just a toddler. It breaks something in me to admit this, but the youngest of the 3 barely remembers the years before the split. He says he has flashes, sounds mostly, his mother shouting, the smell of burning wood, the creak of the floorboards in our old house, the one she burned down. People still don't believe she did it, but after all those years together, I knew my wife. I used to pick them up myself. I'd drive to her parents' place, trying not to get pissed when I saw the disdain in her father's eyes. He always thought I was beneath their daughter, despite me working myself to the bone to build that home, despite putting food on the table. He didn't see the things I saw, the manipulation, the way she chipped away at me with guilt and blame until I barely recognized myself. The boys loved building things. The summer they were 10, 13, and 14, we built go-karts out of scrap wood and old lawnmower parts. The middle one, Evan, was the most technical. He figured out how to rig the brakes better than I could have dreamed. The oldest, Arthur, was all about speed, no seatbelt, no helmet, just pure recklessness. And the youngest, Noah, still wobbly from his growth spurts, painted his cart bright blue with flames and called it the Blue Devil, even though it barely made it down the hill. We went camping every year, no electricity, just tents, fishing rods, and long talks around the fire. We once went to a NASCAR race all together, and man, were those boys happy. They talked about it for weeks. After a while, Evan and Noah moved in with me for the last couple years of high school. Jack never did. He dropped out back home, said he didn't want to move again. I didn't push for him to move in with me, but I regret that now. Maybe I should have. Arthur ended up working with his hands like I used to. He's a contractor now. Runs a small business with a couple of guys he's known since high school, 3 kids. His oldest, Jessica, just turned 12 and loves building Lego houses. Funny how the instinct passes down. Evan's a teacher, teaches shop class and coaches JV basketball. He married his high school sweetheart, and they just had their third, a baby girl this time, after two loud, goofy boys. He and I are probably the closest. He calls often, never for long, but enough to let me feel like I still have a place in his world. Noah, he's quieter. Lives a few towns over, works in IT, smart, a little reserved. He and my second wife's son, my youngest, used to be close, but now there's tension. After that bad day I had, the youngest called Noah, and I think it stirred some things up. He feels like he was a replacement. Maybe he was, in a way. I didn't mean for it to be like that. He was born into my second life, a do-over, and he shouldn't have to carry the weight of my regrets. They all have their own families now, 10 grandchildren between them. I've seen some of them grow tall, heard their laughter echo in the same fields their fathers once ran through. Sometimes they come visit, and I see flashes. Arthur's scowl on his youngest son, Evan's curiosity in his middle child, Noah's quiet gaze in his daughter. But time is catching up with me. I'm dying. The doctors gave me timelines, but I don't live by numbers anymore. I live by good days, and even those are fading. I keep wondering if I should talk to them about everything, about why I left, about how scared I was, how broken I felt. I don't want to burden them with guilt or anger this late in the game, but part of me thinks they need to hear it. Maybe not for me, but for them, for their peace. My youngest said the older boys hate him. I don't think that's true, but I do think they see him as a symbol of everything they didn't get: stability, warmth, a dad who stuck around, and maybe they do resent me. Hell, maybe I deserve it. I used to think I made the right choice by leaving. Now I'm not sure.
Ida for not laughing when my husband joked about my hobby job in front of his boss? Throw away, because my main is linked to some of my work. My husband was invited to this work dinner at his boss's house, and his whole office was invited. My husband has a higher paying job than mine, and it doesn't really bother me because I love what I do, but he does lack interest in my work because of it. The first iffy thing was when we were getting ready, he gave me a check or something like that, where he gave me the rundown of dinner etiquette. I know dinner etiquette. My parents used to host this kind of dinners all the time, so yeah, I know how to act and how to behave. All his coworkers were going to the dinner and they brought their wives with them, so it was pretty packed. Dinner was nice until we were in the dessert portions. My husband's coworkers started talking about their wives and their hobbies. My husband brought up my hobby. I'm a journalist, and I write stuff once in a while. He talked about some of the stuff I've written, describing it as silly. I didn't say anything and smiled awkwardly, but he just kept going, saying he doesn't read my stuff because he doesn't want to be all up in my head. When we got home, I talked to him about the jokes and said I didn't find them funny, but rather somewhat offensive and disrespectful towards my work. He told me to learn how to take a joke. I tried to ignore it, so I just kept doing my thing. But then he started getting handsy, and I rejected his advances because I was still sour about dinner, and he got upset. So we went on and on about the dinner thing. I wasn't even addressing him making fun of me. I was generally upset over the hobby thing because it's not a hobby, it's my line of work, which I love and am very passionate about. He admitted to maybe being in the wrong for the jokes, but that they were based on fact. I grew up significantly wealthier than him. I do not leech off of my parents, nor do they send me money out of free will. My parents have never said or done anything to make him feel inferior, and they get along very well. We met when I was going through some sort of hippie phase. I wasn't talking to my parents, and I did not get along well with them at the time. I was some manic pixie dream girl at the time, and I think he got way too attached to that version of me. I was 25. I'm 32. He called me dull and compared me to my mom, which isn't bad in it of itself, but he said it as an insult and said I was becoming a suburban mom. We have a son, he's 2. I feel like he doesn't really appreciate me as a person or care about me as much as a husband should for his wife. I get what he's saying, but I'm getting older. I'm a mom and I'm advancing in my career and have a lot on my plate apart from that. I do love my husband. I married and started a family with him for a reason, but maybe I took the joke too seriously. I'm not sure if I blew it too out of proportion because I asked friends and they said that maybe I took too seriously. Update. A few days ago, he sat me down and told me how he had been doing a lot of thinking lately while doing exercises given by his therapist. He confessed that his parents raised him with certain beliefs about careers and success, and that he never reflected on how those beliefs made me feel. Growing up, he was taught that jobs should be high paying and prestigious. Anything less was considered a hobby. He realized how these ingrained beliefs had clouded his judgment and led him to belittle my passion and hard work. He said how he was wrong and let his biases and insecurities dictate his actions, how he failed to see the dedication and love I poured into my work. To show his sincerity, he put together a portfolio of my articles, printed them out, and bound them into a book. On the cover, it read, "The Heart and Soul of My Wife." And inside, he had written notes beside each article, sharing his thoughts and expressing admiration for my insights and storytelling. He surprised me with a trip to a writer's retreat in the countryside where I could connect with fellow journalists and attend workshops. He actually said he supported me and was proud of me. Thank you to everyone that sent positive messages.